Bandaging his torn leg, Franz looked toward the dying sun. The orange blaze of the sunset spilled across the vast desert, turning the dunes into endless waves of fire. The wind stilled, leaving only the quiet hiss of cooling sand. The young man's gaze fell upon the wreck, a once marvelous feat of engineering, now a pile of mangled scrap, half buried in sand. Several hours earlier, tiny grains of sand, hundreds, thousands, millions scoured the air like tiny daggers. The low humming of the biplane's engine, its vibration through the aircraft's hull and skeleton, made the machine feel alive. And also the heat, the endless desert heat, suffocating, exhausting, pressing onto Franz's chest until every breath felt borrowed. A Vokran aristocrat by birth, Franz had thought himself untouchable, insulated by wealth and title. Yet here, over the Highwell Desert, the world stripped him bare. Below stretched the land of titans, gargantuan pillars rising from the earth like ribs of some ancient gods. Their shadows carved across the shimmering expanse. The desert glistened and shone, as though whispering its eternal lullaby to all who dared cross it. Suddenly, a gust of wind slammed into the plane, spinning it like a leaf in a storm. Franz clutched the frame, his vision blurred as the sand, the sun, and the pillars all became one. At the last moment, the pilot wrestled the plane back under control. Streaks of sweat ran down his temple. Forcing a reckless grin, the pilot asked, "How was it, sir?" Franz's lips trembled, his words stumbling into the open air. "Pillar!" The pilot's smile faltered as he whipped his head forward. Too late. A pillar loomed before them, ancient and immovable. The pilot's hands jerked at the controls, but fate was already sealed. The desert echoed with a single splintering crack of wood against stone. Only the soft hum of wind remained. Franz awoke in a haze, his skull ringing and his thoughts scattered like shrapnel. The heavy smell of gasoline mingled with the char of splintered wood, stinging his nostrils. Rubbing sand from his eyes, he realized he was still trapped within the crumpled shell of the biplane. When he tried to rise, a bolt of pain shot through his leg, sharp and sudden, like a gunshot echoing through his bones. Gasping, he dragged himself upward with trembling hands, each movement a contest against his own failing strength, until at last he stumbled free of the wreckage. Fortune had spared him. The aircraft had struck on the shadowed side of the pillar, the stone shielding him from the inferno that might have claimed him whole. Deciding to inspect his surroundings, Franz dragged himself towards the looming dune. Each pull of his weary arms seemed to mock him. Time dissolved. It felt as though he had spent days upon that God-forsaken slope. At last, with a final heave, he crested the summit. Before him stretched the desert, an endless ocean of gold, its dunes like waves caught mid-tempest, frozen beneath the dying light. The sand sank low, bleeding across the horizon, while the pillars loomed in the distance, monoliths of stone, jagged and colossal, standing tall to honor long-forgotten gods. Mending his leg while surrounded by silence, he lifted his gaze up to find that the world above him had already changed. The final crimson rays of light had bled away beyond the dunes, surrendering the heavens to night. One by one, then in torrents, the stars emerged, scattering their fire across the black vault. Great nebulae unfurled like colorful canvases. Ethereal clouds of light bloomed where the sunset had perished. The sky was alive, glistening, glowing, infinite, and Franz could not look away. From behind a pillar, the moon ascended, pale, hollow, its cold radiance spilling across the desert. Under its gaze, the dunes gleamed like waves of silver dust, each curve sharpened in the stillness. A breeze stirred, soft at first, whispering through his hair, then sweeping over the sand, lifting the tiniest grains and carrying them in a delicate stream across the moonlit expanse. Franz let his eyes fall shut. His mind drifted, wandering through the labyrinth of memory, fragments of a life half-lived, fleeting images of people and places swallowed by time. He thought of the strange, relentless world he inhabited, a world reshaped by inventions that arrived like storms, tearing away the familiar, the latest of which could reshape the world he knew as a whole. Somewhere in that haze of thought, a sound reached him, the low, steady whir of propellers, a biplane, the very one he had fallen from the sky in, yet now it seemed distant, untouchable, free through the vastness of his imagination. Then with a jolt, Franz's eyes snapped open. There it was, against the canvas of dawn, painted in rusted orange and burnished gold. A biplane cut across the heavens. Its wings caught the light, gleaming like a vision, a promise. At that instant, Franz made his choice. He would not wither here, buried in sand and silence. He would get out, once and for all. He pushed himself from the crest of the dune, half sliding, half falling down its slope. Pain screamed through his body, yet he forced himself onward, dragging his battered frame to the wreck below. Breath ragged, he tore open the storage compartment, and his trembling hands closed around salvation, a flare gun. With renewed purpose, he staggered back up the dune, every step heavier than the last. The biplane's drone was faint now, nearly lost to the desert air. At the summit, Franz raised the flare with shaking arms. Heart pounding, he pulled the trigger.